So the project that we're going to work on now is called Kindness Intention Chain. And this is what the project looks like in your Google Classroom. And if I click on this, which says CT Comtech Kindness Intention Chains, it gives me a presentation for the project. On slide 3, if I click on this image, it automatically launches to spreadkindness.org, and you can pick a quote from there. If you want to create your own quote to use, that is perfectly fine, but try and only use positive words, like be kind to others, help others in need. You don't want to use something negative and then put not with it. So yelling is negative, and putting the word not makes it positive, but it doesn't sound good. So instead, speak kind to others. So think of something that you would like to see in the hallway that 6th, 7th, and 8th graders read, and then hopefully they become more kind through seeing this quote hung in the hallway. In order to get started, the absolute first thing I would do is I would go ahead and open up Photoshop. So I'm doing File, New. I'm naming it Last Name Kindness. I'm making sure it's inches, which is 11 inches for width, 3.5 for height, and the resolution's a little bit different. It's 150 this time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Photoshop, File, New, and I'm doing my last name, which is Farrell, Kindness. It's currently under pixels, so I'm switching to inches. My width is 11. My height is 3.5, and my resolution is 150. I also want to work in the color mode RGB, so make sure that that is also selected. I press OK. So now I have a long rectangle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto the internet and I'm going to search for some quotes. So it took me a little bit, and I ended up searching Kindness Rock quotes. This is actually somebody that lives out on the Cape that started this project. So I was looking there. I also went on to her website, Kindness Rocks. This link is now available in Google Classroom for you. I really liked these. These are very quick and to the point. So this is another example that I think would be successful. Because these are really short for this project, you're probably going to be creating multiple kindness quotes. If you think that they're all successful, you can turn them all to me. I think the more that I can print and hang up in the school, the better. If there's one that is really strong and the other ones maybe aren't as complete, don't turn those in if you don't want me to grade them. So again, I think these work because they're short and powerful, but that doesn't mean that you just create one and then you're finished. You might need to create multiples. This one I thought was also helpful. It gives you almost like a chore to do. So if you're in 6th grade and you have to do this idea of kindness and spreading kindness, it might be an abstract or difficult idea for them to understand. So actually giving them some examples would be great. So maybe your project is just one of these quotes, or maybe your project has a couple different ideas that they could do every day. It should be something that is quick and manageable for the kids. So text a positive message to a friend. That seems like something that would take a few seconds, and that's totally doable in a day. Pick up litter. I'm always walking through the hallways, and if I find pencil or trash on the floor, I pick it up. I don't want other people to trip over that. So think about maybe this is the route that you want to go. There's another one. It says kindness, pass it on. So maybe instead of just saying give a flower, that sounds weird. But if at the top of your artwork you wrote kindness, pass it on, and then you added give a flower, plant a tree, share a snack, give a compliment, by adding one of those quotes below it, then people go, oh, I should have kindness, and pass it on. So these are just a few examples that I think are helpful. When you go into Photoshop, you're going to type your quote. Again, you need to make sure that it is correctly spelled. So I have found a website that I like with a quote that I like. So I'm going to that quote and I'm highlighting not only the quote, but who created it. We have to give them credit. After it's highlighted, I do Control-C to copy. And then I go back into Photoshop and I click on this T. And when I press and hold it, I want to use the horizontal type tool. Now, if I just click and do Control-V paste, you'll notice that it just kind of goes all the way across the screen. So that's not really the best way to do it. So I am going to go over to this layer and I'm going to trash it. And instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my text tool and I'm going to click and drag, and this creates a box. This is how long I want the box to be. I wanted to take up just a little bit of my artwork. And don't worry about the size right now, just do Control V and paste it. Now I'm going to do Control A to select all. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to change. I don't want it to be beige. I want it to either be white or black. So I'm going to try black first and see how it comes out. I'm going to press OK. And I am going to lower my point size so it better fits on my screen. Okay, so I think that this looks a little bit better. This is just a box. This didn't load well from Photoshop to the internet, so I'm just deleting that. That's not a big deal. And this font is really heavy. I don't like it. The words say treat everyone with politeness, but I feel like it's yelling at me based on the font. So again, I'm doing select all. I'm clicking up here, and the great thing about Photoshop is when I click up here, it shows me all the different fonts I can work with. These are the names here, and then this is a preview on this side. So I can pick one of these fonts that would better work with my artwork. I think that one looks lovely. I'm going to go to Arial to show you something quick. Arial has a lot of different fonts, and if you remember the image text project, we worked with black. It was a very thick font. So some of your fonts, not only do you get to pick here, but then you can also pick the style that you would like for that font. So I'm going to go back to this because I like the look of this font. I just saw one above it, so I want to check this one out too. Oh, so this one might be a little bit nicer because I could make it bold. So I'm actually going to do that one. So there's my font. This is my quote. And the cool thing about adding the text box this way is, look at this. When I change it, do you see how it allows those line breaks? Okay. So I want to show you guys that again because I think it's really helpful. So let me select this since it's already to a better size. So again, this is what it looks like by just simply clicking. Do you see? That's not very helpful because then you would have to go in and press enter and it might not look good. All right. So again, you don't just click and put it on. Instead, here's your text. You click and drag the box, the text box where you would like it. And then you do Control V and look at that. It creates the line breaks for you. Okay. So here I have my text. I think it looks lovely. Now I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to find an image that I would like to work with. So I ended up searching lotus flower because I think that's a very calm image. Another calm image might be a sunset or calm water. And I added the words painting in front of it because I wanted it to look artsy to go along with the image that I've created. So I can scroll up and down to see if there's an image that I would like to work with. And again, remember, we're working with a very long rectangle. So I'm going to click on Tools and Size, and I want it to be larger than 800. And now it's kicking back images that are very high quality. And I feel like there's two images that are standing out to me right now. So I feel like one of these images would work good. So I'm going to click on this one. And I am simply just going to copy it because I already have my project open in Photoshop. And now I'm going to do Control V and paste it. And I'm going to turn off my text layer for now. And I'm going to try and get this lotus flower to be the way how I would like it to be. I like the placement of this, but I do want it instead, I think, flipped horizontally. So instead it's going to go over on this side. So I did Control T and then I flipped it horizontally. I also am going to duplicate this layer because it doesn't fit all the way across. And I am doing this one. I'll move it. So I'm turning off this and moving it over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and blend these two together. So I am first going to make sure the top layer is selected. And I'm getting rid of this black line here. I don't want that. And now, I think what I would like to do, I'm not sure how well this will look, is I'm going to attempt to Control T. And let's see if I can get this to blend. Now I'm going to go onto this layer here because it's a harsh line, and I'm getting my eraser, making it a soft edge, making it larger, and I'm just going to go along here to try and make it look like these are coming together. Control T, zoom out, stretch this over a little bit more. Control 0. I think that that looks good. All right, now I'm going to move this text layer on the top, turn it on, and I'm going to move this over here. So this is what it looks like black. I can click on my text tool in the toolbar. I can do Control A, and I can see what it looks like white. And then I can go back and forth in my history to see if I want it to be black or white. Maybe white with a shadow. So I can double click on this to create a drop shadow. Do you see the drop shadow that shows up over here? Maybe make the opacity a little bit darker. Press OK. All right, and then I can turn on and off this. I think that looks better. And I'm going to go back up here in my history. That's black. That's white. I like the white, so I'm going to leave it as white. I'm also, just to make it look nicer, I'm going to lower the point size for this. That doesn't need to be as large. And italic. And I might scoot this around to see. And then I want you guys, if you notice, in the intention chain, I want you guys to also add your name. So find a font that looks like a signature so you can sign your name, your age, and today's date for your intention. So I would sign this. Let me get my text tool. And I'm just going to click because it's going to be a short signature, so it's going to be Mrs. Farrell. I'm an adult, so I don't give my age, but I will do the date. And that might be something that I want to do. Control T. And I put on the corner over here. Okay, so there's my finished project. I'm going to do a save as. And I'm going to save it to my folder, but this is my own computer, so I'm just doing it on my desktop. But you're going to your folder and pressing save as a PSD, and then you are doing it again as a JPEG. And kids ask me, why twice? The reason why you are doing it twice, make sure it goes to 12. The reason why you're doing it twice is because this one is layered. If I ever want to say, hey, you know, let's make a change to your background in some way, then this is the way that you would end up doing it. Okay. Now the last thing I want to do is show you the opacity box. So you do layer, new layer. I have white. I'm using G for my paint bucket. I'm dumping. I'm going to do Control T. I'm going to scale it to the size that I want. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to put it below my text tool and lower the opacity. And that is how you do the lowered opacity background.